Hey everyone, welcome to Golf Live. There's only one golf show streamed live on the internet on Tuesdays at noon, and you found it. I'm Jeff Ritter. We've got a full show for you today. Joe Passoff is back with another travel tip. Ryan Aselta sits down with 8-time PGA Tour winner Brandt Snedeker. Jessica Marksbury has a round with billionaire entrepreneur and founder of PXG, Bob Parsons. And Gadget Guy is back with another product review. But first, it was an exciting weekend at Quail Hollow as 24-year-old Justin Thomas won the 99th PGA Championship. Joining me now in studio to talk about it is an old friend. He's a former SI Golf colleague and ESPN golf reporter, and he's now the executive director of the Bridge Golf Foundation in Harlem. He is Farrell Evans. Farrell, thanks for stopping in. It's good to see you.
Glad to be with you. Good to see you.
Let's start with the obvious. Justin Thomas, he wins the PGA Championship at age 24. What did you make of his win?
Well, I think it just confirmed, Jeff, what we already know about him, that he's one of the 5 or 10 top young players under 30 in the world. And, you know, I think for the next 20 years, he'll be a guy that we should see at the top of the leaderboard in majors.
Yeah, I think, and also not even just the majors, but now he's in the President's Cup. You can pretty much book him for the Ryder Cup. And now I just think he takes this next step up in status where he becomes one of the premier American players on tour, just like that. It's that last, hump for him to get over, and now he's done it. I wonder about the swing. He's got some funny action with his leg. It's a violent swing. We see, players maybe peaking earlier than they used to, maybe fading out a little bit later in their careers. Do you think JT has the type of swing action that would hold up for the long haul?
Well, I mean, Jeff, he's been swinging that way since he was 5 years old. He's 145 pounds, probably soaking wet. He may be listed higher than that. But he's had to do that to generate that kind of power, and the kids are doing it at a much younger pace now. It's kind of like in baseball. These kids are throwing more pitches at a younger age, and you see they're getting injured earlier.
Yeah. Do you think this is the breakthrough that leads to multiple majors for him, or do you see him as maybe there's a lot of guys that get stuck on one? We've seen a lot of first-time major winners come through over the last few years. Do you think Thomas has the game to even go forward from here?
I think so, because he combines like that moxie, and he has the length. I mean, he can hit it 320. He's a good putter. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's had some travail. I think he's a guy, but in terms of separating from the pack, I'm not quite sure of that. He has to validate this win with another major.
Yeah, I also thought, I was struck by the scene on the 18th hole, how these young guys on tour now, they stick together. They're all buddies. Justin Thomas was there for Jordan Spieth at the British Open last month when Spieth wins. And then the roles reverse this time. There's Jordan Spieth, there's Ricky Fowler, Bud Colley's there on the 18th green. You can tell Justin Thomas is popular with his friends, but it's so different now, isn't it? I mean, it used to be when Tiger was winning, he was like this man on an island, which is not to say that guys didn't like him, but I'm really struck by the camaraderie now on tour. These guys really like each other and pull for each other. It feels like just a fresh new tour these days.
Yeah, I don't love it.
You don't?
I think the tour needs rivalries, and we had it. We don't want to talk about this so much, but the ratings have been poor, and it's a trend going back to April with the Masters, and they had the worst rating since '04. I think the game needs rivalries, and we need these guys. It's great that they're buddies. They came up in junior golf together, but we need some sort of like back and forth. I want to see Ricky Fowler. I want to see Jordan. I want to see Justin at the Masters, coming down 13, 14, 15, fighting each other, trying to win. Yeah. And then they can hug it out when they go drink beer together. But on the golf course, in the culture, we need more rivalry.
We want the Ryder Cup every week, but I think it's hard to get there. But I do agree to a point that, tension would add a lot. They can't all be buddies. I don't think they're all buddies, but there's definitely this little clique. There's this little circle that's happening right now where I think the guys get along. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is this idea of a career peak. So Thomas wins at 24. McIlroy now is 28. He hasn't won a major in 3 years. For a long time, golf, it was like guys would sort of get acclimated in their 20s, peak in their 30s and do most of their winning, and then just kind of hang on in their 40s to the Champions Tour. Do you think the peak of a golf career now is just happening younger?
Well, I think the peaks last longer. I think you're going to see players, because they're in better shape, players are going to play at a top level from 21, 22, all the way up until their early 40s. I mean, Nicklaus had a period where, from winning in his early 20s to winning his last Masters at 46. But there was a big gap where he basically disappeared, basically between 80 and 86, where he didn't win a major championship. So I think with the fitness level and the equipment, players are gonna have their peaks are gonna last a lot longer. And I think we'll see that with Justin and Rory and some of the others. Let's
talk about Rory. It was a disappointing week for him at Quail Hollow. He entered as one of the tournament favorites. He had won 2 tournaments there in his career. Doesn't factor at all, the PGA Championship, and then announces on Sunday that he's struggling with back spasms and a muscle in his upper back, and we may not see him for a while. Do you think Rory should just, at this point, shut it down for the rest of the year?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a shame for the FedEx Cup and the PGA Tour. He's a defending FedEx champion, but Rory is at a level where he's playing to win major championships, and he needs to be looking towards April in the Masters. So shut it down, do what he needs to do. He's newly married. I think another thing with Rory's settling down with life, and he's enjoying his life, and he's got more perspective now, and so I think things are a little different. I think he can make some decisions about his life that are probably better for him that may not always suit his sponsors.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm concerned that it's a back. We don't need to go too far down the list of stars of golf to see what can happen with back problems. Of course, Tiger Woods, 4 back surgeries. The fact that Rory's having these problems at age 28, I mean, this is the 3rd time he's had to take a break this season. I don't know. I wonder about all the power that he generates in his swing, like we were just talking about with Justin Thomas and his power. Is it just too much pressure on those muscles too early in life? I don't know. Is it a swing that's built for the long haul?
Well, I think one thing these guys can do is when we talk about Rory and we talk about Tiger, they don't have to lift so many weights.
Yeah. Why are they lifting so many weights?
Well, it's the culture now. Like, you work out, your physio tells you to do these things. They come off the golf course, they go in the trailer, they're eating differently. When I first started covering the PGA Tour in 1999, hanging out with Tommy Armour III, you come out the golf course and where's the bar? You sell into Tiger's prime
12-ounce curls, right? Isn't that what you call it?
Yeah, because the money's so big now. So these guys are working harder, and with that, I mean, more stress.
Yeah.
On your body.
Yeah. All right. And we had some late breaking news last night. ESPN obtained the toxicology report from Tiger Woods' arrest, which showed 5 different drugs, including sleeping pills, pain pills, and THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Farrell, what was your reaction to that news last night?
Well, again, we talk about confirmations of things that we expect. I mean, Tiger was a child prodigy, and his whole life has been about winning golf tournaments. And to go from age 3 or 4 to all the way in his late 30s with this great career, I think, we're seeing like a latent childhood here, and he's struggling. He's fighting with his health. He's fighting with being this aging golfer, and he's fighting with the reality that there's about 100 guys that are better than him on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you're right.
And so he's confronting all those things, but he's Tiger, so he's working his butt off every day, and that cocktail of drugs, those are things where Tiger's trying to get better. He's not taking those to get worse. That's a cocktail that's symptomatic of a guy who's trying to get better, who's trying to get stronger, who's trying to get back on the tour.
Yeah, in Tiger's statement, he said that he did receive treatment on how to manage the medications. He also, in his statement, said that he's begun exercising again and that his rehab is progressing and that he's on schedule, quote. What exactly he's on schedule for, I am not sure. It's not clear from the statement. Is he eyeing the Masters next year? What do you think, Farrell? Are we going to see Tiger on the course next year?
I hope so, Jeff, but I don't see it because Tiger knows that he is not championship ready to play with Rory and Justin and all these guys. He can't do it. So I think we're going to see a guy who's going to tell us about 10 times between now and April, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And mind you, he will go out in Jupiter with his buddies, and he might shoot 63 or 64 right in a cart. But when he steps on the range, steps on the first tee at a tour event, come March, you're going to see a guy who's still going to be battling. And I just don't think he's going to make it he's not going to test his game and embarrass himself at Augusta.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to embarrass himself at Augusta, but I can't help but wonder if once he gets into, as this rehab progresses, as he continues playing golf, as he starts shooting 63s in Jupiter, I don't know. I still think we're going to see him again give it one more shot, but we'll find out as time goes along. Farrell, thanks a lot for stopping in.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Moving on, every summer, celebrities flock to the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe. This year, we were there. We grabbed a few minutes with actor-comedian Kevin Nealon, who told us that while his goal was to beat Sir Charles in a round, he's already proud of some time he once spent on the course with the King. Take a look.
I'm probably about a 19 handicap. Yeah, I have fun. I wouldn't care if I had a 100 handicap. Every hole is a new opportunity. I don't play that often. I play maybe a dozen times a year. Now, as I'm getting a little bit better, I've just picked certain people I want to beat. Barkley's a given. Ray Romano, Bruce McGill, a lot of these guys that are the bottom dozen of the pack. I want to drain the swamp. Putting is my strength. I just enjoy reading the greens. They always scared me for a while. You know, I thought, how do people read the greens like this? What do you mean it's breaking that way? What do you mean it's uphill? That looks downhill to me. But now the green, it's like the safe zone for me. Well, you know, I used to study golfers in their 20s, their swing and videos, you know, YouTube and stuff. And then I realized that I'm not in my 20s, and my body doesn't work like their body does. So then I started studying older golfers. Ernie Els is about my size, so I've been watching his swing, and I've been watching some Mickelson chipping tapes.
And I just drive the club behind the ball, and I let the ball pop up and release.
The best swing tip? Wow, none of them work, so I'm not sure which is the best one I've gotten. Probably the grip, seeing your two knuckles on the left hand and not squeezing so tight, not holding so tight. Whenever I golf with a professional, I'll ask them for one tip at the end of the day. John Daly told me that when you get older, take an extra club length in the back nine because you're not hitting it as far anymore. Charlie Hoffman told me I was having trouble getting out of a bunker. He said, try to hit the ball with the hosel of your club. And I said, if I try to hit it with the hosel, I'm going to hit it. He goes, no, you won't. So, of course, I hit it with the hosel and then shanked it out of the sand trap. I said, what happened? He goes, I don't know. And he walked away. My greatest moment on the golf course was probably shooting this commercial with Arnold Palmer and just watching him putt and sinking one putt after another. And then him watching me for about a half hour miss putt after putt after putt. So I asked Arnold Palmer if I could have one tip, what would it be? He would say, I would have to golf with you for the whole day. We should do that, and I'll give you a tip. And I wish I took him up on that. As an actor, I'm always in front of crowds, so they don't really bother me. The first 6 years I was rattled because I knew I was on camera and I wasn't a good golfer, and I was even a worse golfer because I was so nervous. So I was duffing the ball and shanking it, and it was horrible. I couldn't wait for the round to be over. Every year I say, well, this year, you know, I'm going to practice and take lessons. So next year I'll be much, much better and everybody will be impressed, but that hasn't happened yet.
I've got 3 keys to the perfect driver position at the top for you guys at home. One thing that I first start off with, a great swing thought, is at the very beginning of the swing, the takeaway. I really like to think about one-piece takeaway from the ball. What this does is allow the club face to naturally turn over, and you're not going to do it literally to where you're straight, stiff. You want to have relaxed arms, but straight back, one piece all the way to the top. Now once you're at the top, I'm focusing on my wrists. See how my wrist is flat to my forearm here? You don't want it to be open, which would be cocked like that, or bowed, which would be a closed club face. Straight arm with the forearm, straight wrist with the forearm, and down. Once I am at the top, I'm now thinking about tempo. That's another key thing for at the top of the swing. You can feel once your club gets up and then smooth all the way through to your follow through. And those are 3 simple things that you can think about for a perfect position at the top.
Hi, I'm Jessica Marksbury for Golf.com, and today I am privileged to enjoy a round with the founder of Parsons Extreme Golf, the man himself, Bob Parsons. Bob, thank you so much for your time today. Wonderful to be here at your club. I I heard you have something special that you want to order for us. What is it today?
Well, you know, PXG is a very high-end brand. A high-end brand should be associated with a high-end drink. I can think of nothing better to have than some Louis XIII cognac neat.
I've never tasted that particular drink before.
Well,
any cognac, actually.
The aftertaste is wonderful. You're drinking it neat, you get a little burn,
Okay.
which is sometimes part of the fun.
Well, nothing left to do now but taste it. Cheers to you,
your
Mr.
health.
Parsons. Here we go. A burn indeed.
Like candy, isn't it?
That's actually very, very nice. Let's talk about this club, Scottsdale National. You've had it for a few years now. What's it like to have your own playground, so to speak?
I get to come over here every day, and I typically pick this place as opposed to other clubs because I get treated a little better here. It's a very small membership, so it's wide open and it's pristine, and the rules are what I want them to be. Our rule book has one sentence in it: there are no rules. Our members like being able to pick up their cell phone and make a phone call. Once in a while, wear denim, or maybe to play music when they play golf. At the end of the day, it's not as profound as you might think it is. Now, people say to me, there's no way you could spend $350,000 on golf clubs. My comment is, want to bet? And they'll say, well, yeah, but how do you get used to them? Don't you spend a couple months to see if the club really works? Answer to that is no. I can tell if a club's good by hitting it 2 or 3 times.
I want to talk about your business experience, your GoDaddy fame, obviously PXG, brand new, great business, but you were successful way before that, right?
Well, you know, what I did was I started my first business in the 80s with a computer software program that I wrote. So I sold it in 1994. I think I had $40,000 invested in it. I sold it for $64 million. And I used that money as the seed money to start GoDaddy, which turned out beyond my wildest dreams.
You seem like you've always done things your own way. Is there anyone in business that you look up to and really admire for how they've handled themselves?
Some of the people that I admire are a military guy, General Grant, during the Civil War. Everybody around him was all about organization. He didn't care about organization. It was just get your ass up there on the firing line, right? Another guy was John D. Rockefeller. He took over the whole oil industry, and the way he did it was he had the first really good management information systems, all manual, but knew what everything cost him down to a nickel, where his competitors really didn't have a clue. Guys like that, I look up to. Nobody alive today.
What did being a Marine teach you that you think you really couldn't have learned anywhere else?
Everything I ever accomplished and will ever accomplish, I owe to the Marine Corps. They taught me discipline in the sense that if you say you're going to do something, see it through. It might not be fun, or it might not be pleasant, or it might not be what you want to do, but have the discipline to do it. They taught me responsibility, that you have a commitment to the person on your right and left, and you have to honor that. They taught me pride, that pretty clean is dirty, right? And I mean, on, and they taught me to believe in myself.
Where do you see yourself and the company in the next 10, 20 years?
Fulfilling the promise that we made to our customers. We won't release anything unless it's noticeably better than what they have. I can tell you with our irons right now, with our driver, we got our work cut out to ever do anything better than that.
Well, cheers to that, Mr. Parsons. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing around with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hey everybody, Inspector Gadget back with you. We are looking at the Tactic. Get it? Say it fast. Tactic, tactic, strategy, tactics. It is a Velcro band that wraps around your wrist, and it has this little gizmo here. It clicks The idea is if your wrist breaks, your wrist gets out of a position in the backswing, if you're cupping, if you're not keeping your wrist flat, it'll click and say, don't do that. Try a swing with the tactic. I heard no clicking. My left wrist was in a proper position. The tactic reminded me of that. It's like a shock collar. You get out of position, bzz. It's not a physical sensation, it's an audible one. They actually make tactics for your knees, for your ankles, for your hips. I already have enough clicking going on in my body, so I don't know if I need to attach them to all those things. Now, the tactic costs $29.95, which might seem like a lot for a simple mechanism like this. It can save you a couple sleeve of golf balls over the time of its existence. Maybe it pays you back, along with a couple pure shots as well.
You've been out here consistently for 11 years in a row now. First of all, is that you take a sense of pride in that streak you got going? And also, how tough is that? How tough is it to grind it out week in, week out, contend in majors, pick up a couple wins over more than a decade now?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that long. It's crazy how fast it goes by. I still feel like I'm a relatively young guy out here, and then I play with a guy like Jordan Spieth or Brooks Koepka or somebody like that, and all of a sudden, man, I'm really old. I've gotten old quick out here. So, it's just, I don't look at it as a decade out here. I look at it as each year I'm trying to get better. Trying to find some way to improve, and I still love the game. I'm still passionate about it. I still have fun coming out here and doing this. I don't know what else I'd be doing for a living if I wasn't doing this. So it's still a kind of a new journey every year, even though I kind of know the golf courses now, know my schedule, know kind of where I like to play. It's still fun for me to come out here and try to compete, and it's getting tougher. As you get older out here, there's always a new crop of young kids coming out that are really good players and pushing everybody else out here to kind of raise their game and get better. So that's kind of the enjoyment of the process, is knowing there's always a new, fresh group of guys coming out here ready to beat your brains in. So you got to make sure you're still practicing, still loving it, and still putting the time in to be able to compete.
We always hear about the list, the best player never to win a major. Sergio took his name off that list at the Masters. Ricky seems to be talked about there a lot. Matt Kuchar, Lee Westwood. First question. Do you belong on that list, Brandt?
To me, my career will not be defined if I win a major or not. So I'm not too terribly worried about that list. I feel like all those guys on that list are great players. They have great careers. I think the one thing that people kind of put too much weight on majors, they're 4 weeks a year. It's really, really hard to have your game peak at those just 4 weeks. I'm more into wins. Can you win on tour? Do you do it a lot? That's what you're going to be remembered for out here, is winning. For me as a player, I have a different view than most people on the outside looking in, I guess. I realize how hard it is just to win out here, let alone winning one of the 4 weeks a year. So I think the biggest thing I wanted to be on that I accomplished was being on a winning Ryder Cup team, which we did last year. I had more importance on that, realizing, okay, we haven't done it for a long time, such a special thing to be on that. I would have probably taken that over winning a major. So I don't think I really don't. I've had long, hard thoughts about it. I used to be obsessed with it. And I've kind of let it go, saying, if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, I've still had a great career. I still plan on winning a lot more out here, and so I'm not too concerned with it.
You mentioned the Ryder Cup. Can you pinpoint one thing that was so special about that team, that group of guys? We know the golf you played. You guys played so well on the golf course, but was there something about this group that made them unique? Yeah,
definitely. I think part of it was the leadership, having Davis, having Tiger, Phil. I consider Phil a captain, even though he's a player. I mean, he was an assistant captain on that team. Jim Furyk, Tom Lehman, Steve Stricker, all these guys, Bubba Watson, the way that they all bought in and kind of walked into a room, and everybody left their ego at the door and said, you know what, we're all in about winning this. How do we do it? How do we come together as 12 guys in this group and leave our egos outside and say, can we do this as a team? And that was probably the most special thing about that week. It was how close we all got as a team, how bonded we were, how much time we spent with each other, talking about what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. That's very rare, I think, in team sports, is to have a bunch of guys. And you hear coaches talk about this all the time in other sports about, no egos in the locker rooms and team first attitude. And not saying we haven't had that before, I think we have, but I think this last one was taken to a new level. Talking about how much time we spent talking to each other before the Ryder Cup. There was tons of nerves and tons of pressure on us, and we realized that, but we all embraced it, and we all kind of talked about it and kind of overcame as a team together.
Hello, I'm Traveling Joe Passoff. This week on Tour Travel Tips, we journey to Greensboro, North Carolina, home to the PGA Tour's Wyndham Championship. For your tee time, embrace PGA Tour history with 18 holes at Forest Oaks Country Club. Designed by Donald Ross protege Ellis Maples in 1962, Forest Oaks tested the Tour's best from 1977 through 2007, when champions included Hall of Famers Seve Ballesteros, Raymond Floyd, and Lanny Watkins. Sandy Lyle and Davis Love III both won twice here, and Brandt Snedeker was the final winner. Tall pines, brilliant dogwoods in the spring, well-bunkered greens, and 7,252 hilly yards are highlights of Forest Oaks, as well as green fees of $50 and under. For your lodging, you can always start with a Wyndham property. Hawthorne Suites by Wyndham Greensboro is ideal on the value front. For a one-of-a-kind experience, check into the O. Henry. Named for literary giant William Sidney Porter, who was born in Greensboro and used O. Henry as his pen name, this handsome four-diamond hotel is close to downtown and to the airport. Afternoon tea in the social lobby, courtyard dining at the Green Valley Grill, and live jazz are among the enticements. On the dining front, stick your fork into Lucky 32 Southern Kitchen, just a few blocks from the O. Henry, which features modern twists on Old South classics. Start with the buttermilk fried green tomatoes, then ease into the pan-seared Carolina mountain trout with red-eye vinaigrette and crispy black-eyed peas. Add a side of cornbread and some butterscotch pudding pie for dessert, and call it a meal. I'm Traveling Joe Passoff. I'll see you down the road.
Joe Passoff likes to say that he's been where you're going. This week it really works if you're going to the Wyndham. That looked delicious. That is a wrap for this week's episode of Golf Live. We'll be back with a brand new show next week. But until then, be sure to visit Golf.com for all the latest golf news and exclusive video content. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the week.